Thank you everyone once again for hopping on. We have some great content lined up for you today. Good afternoon and welcome to our training session. The topic for today is easily manage your procurement process. My name is Andre. I'm a customer success manager here at Wrike, and I'm your host for today. With me, I have Alex Homa, the one and only, who's a customer success strategic program lead with APJ here and a seasoned expert on Wrike as a product. Before we hand it over to Alex, let's just talk about why we're here today. So the objective of this session is to explore the tools and best practices for setting up a procurement process with Wrike. You'll be able to understand Wrike's procurement management features, learn some best practices for procurement workflow design, master dashboard utilization, connect request forms to custom item types and baked-in approvals, harness the power of automation. The session will take about 60 minutes. As always, we'll have a Q&A for you at the end to ask questions. Feel free to submit the questions through the Q&A section within the Zoom. I'll make sure that we answer those live for you. And just before we move forward with the demo, I'd like to highlight our amazing customer, Siemens Smart Infrastructure. I'm sure the name is ringing the bell. So this customer have been executing on a wide range of cross-functional projects, with procurement being just one of the pieces of the puzzle. They've been looking for a solution that would bring all of the teams together and help streamline operations, reduce labor time, and enhance collaboration in dispersed international teams. The integration of Wrike has had a significant impact on Siemens Smart Infrastructure. Not only it helped them consolidating processes and improving data security, but it also allowed teams to work flexibly from really anywhere. It helped optimize project management, improve service quality, and reduce labor time, ultimately driving efficiency. So if you want to learn more a little bit about this customer and their experience with Wrike, I will put the link into the chat for you all in just a second. And yeah, to really show you how you can create a process end-to-end and take advantage of all the capabilities that we offer today, I'm turning this over to Alex. So Alex, take it away.
Hey there, thanks so very much. Hi everybody, good to see you all again. Or if I haven't met you before, great to have you here. The session today is, my name is Alex, by the way, before I dive right in. My name is Alex. I'm a seasoned expert with Wrike, I guess. It's a bit of a strange title to give yourself, but um, I've worked with a lot of customers from a variety of different use cases and industries in the world. And so I'd like to know that I know quite a bit about Wrike. That said, I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly about your procurement process. So I want to be very clear that this isn't your procurement process, but a good a baseline to start with, I guess. And I hope that some of this will register with some of your understanding of what you're doing in your instance. The session today is going to hopefully go for about 45 minutes. We've got 40 minutes to go, I guess. It might go a little bit longer, it might go a little bit less. If you've got any questions, we want to hear from you. Put it in the question section of the Zoom or in the chat, I guess. And Andre and myself will happily answer them as we go along. There'll be a little part at the very end to also answer your questions, but yeah, we try to make this as interactive as possible. Because I don't like talking down a barrel, to be completely honest. So today, procurement process in Wrike. There is a template that you can use to get yourself started. Okay, I'm working out of my demo account today, and I'll zoom in a little bit here so that folks can see that a little bit better. I'm working out of my demo instance, and I've got myself, if you click on, oh, and by the way, I should be clear, the functionality that we're going through today is also available to folks that are on a business plan and above. I'm not sure if you'll have all the functionality available to you for anything below. So anyone that's at a business above, you should be able to get access to this. And then, of course, I'm working in this account as administrator in it. I have full rights and access to pretty much everything. you want to be an administrator or at least have rights to be able to create a space and things like that. If you don't, get a hold of your administrator. If you're not sure on how to go about doing any of that sort of stuff, get a hold of your account manager, your CSM, or our support team. I've made a few assumptions so that people understand some of the fundamentals. So I'm not going to go through some of the basic understanding, so to speak. And therefore, I'm going to dive straight in to say, I'm going to create a new space. And in our template of spaces, if we type in procurement, you will find one labeled as just that. Okay. This is a good baseline to help you get started. It's got a good simple folder structure. It has a simple a simple request form, and we'll put together a bit of a workflow that we can utilize as part of it as well. We're going to add a custom item type to it. We're going to add some custom fields for reporting purposes and filtering on it a little bit easier later. And those are the extra kind of little bits that will make your life a lot easier at the end of the day. I'm not going to hit create from here because I've already created it. I don't want to make two of these instances. So I'm going to hit cancel and I'm going to find myself back at my newly created procurement space. It is freshly created. If you're familiar with Wrike, and like I said, I'm going through the fundamentals. Folders are designed to be categorized as to how you break down your work. So in this example, we've got new requests, active requests, things that are on hold, canceled requests. In this instance, we're creating requests that are essentially projects. Okay. Each procurement request is a project because there are a sequence or a number of steps that come with it. You may choose to have this as one task for yourself and have a series of subtasks, or a custom item type, and then have a series of subtasks that come with it. For this example, we've chosen to go ahead with making it a project type. Okay. Now, because I'm an administrator, I'm going to click on the space settings. And up the top here, there's a couple of things that I want to get through first. Right? I said at the beginning that I want to use custom item types and I want to use custom fields. I want to create a custom item type that is a project, first and foremost, and I want to call it a procurement project. This will make more sense in a moment, but we're doing this because we ultimately want to see, and let's get a shopping cart in here. Like that's something that procurement does, buy stuff. We want to use it as a project because we want to be able to quickly see all the elements that come with it. And there'll be a blueprint that comes with this in a moment as well. Do we need to have files as part of this? Maybe, but probably not. Do we need to see the sub items here immediately? Maybe, but probably not. Will there be an approvals process? Certainly will. Do I need to see the percentage progress on this for the procurements? Maybe. We'll leave it in there for now. Author and created date, certainly important. Status of the actual this particular procurement, absolutely important. Assignee and date. Now, this workflow, this is going to change for us. Now, there is an account workflow here labeled as procurement already, right? What does that actually look like? Great question. So if I click on settings and I go to workflows, is there an option to have a space workflow, and there is an option to have an account workflow. In this instance, we've got an account workflow that's going through this sequence of steps, where it's from new, in progress, in review, researching. We're going to add some automations to this, where we're going to say in review, or in progress, I should say, but only if it's over a certain value, potentially, right? So we're going to add some clever automations behind in a moment as well. We've got researching, then completed, vendor selected, product services collected, order submitted, etc. Right? They're considered to be completed statuses. So I'm going to go ahead and continue using this workflow. If you haven't got this workflow, right, absolutely go ahead and create yourself one at a space level. I do recommend that as a base step, I guess. How to do that? Up the top here at your space settings, there's an option for workflows. And you'll be given the option here to create or add a workflow. And I'm going to make this my default of procurement here for this particular one. Or alternatively, create yourself a new one. And the options to create yourself a space workflow look exactly the same as what you see here in account level, but they're kept at the space level, right? That's the big difference here to know. So I'm going to head back to my custom item types. And like I said, I've got my custom item type here that is procurement. Good. That's a great baseline to start. I then want to also have some custom fields where I want to capture important information. This is also where we'll do a bit of our automation piece with it as well. So we're going to have a custom field, which we'll create from table view, right? So when I head to my new requests folder, and at this particular level, because I have rights to the space and I can actually do this, I'm going to add a column where I want to add a field, a custom field, I should say, right at the very top, where I'm going to have this as a currency field. I'll make it in dollars, and I'm going to make it with decimal places, but I'm going to call it value, or budget, expected amount, something to that effect. Again, we're going to use this because this will also then help us when it comes to the automation to say, well, if this particular value is over a certain amount, then I want an automation being set or a trigger to say, hey, this will need an approval from someone specific. Okay. So expected amount, I'm going to add in here. I'm going to also add another one that is around importance. Make that a single select and high, medium, low. Add some color right next to this. So that's going to be my orange. That's going to be there. And yeah, we'll make that slightly red. Great. Again, we're going to use that as part of an automation to move between our folders. Okay, and we're going to also use that as a indicator of potentially an automation. If it's high importance, then I need it notified somebody in some way, shape. I'm also going to have a department because maybe you need to recategorize or break down where are you getting your requests from, right? We are getting X number of dollars or requests coming out of HR. Can we afford to be spending that much to the HR at this point? Again, this is from a reporting lens or how you categorize your procurement essentially. So I'm going to add one here. I'm going to call this department. Now you may already have one of these in your instance. So I'm going to add department and I'm going to add HR. So the first thing that came to my mind. I'm going to call that dev. Going to call that sales. Going to call that support. Going to call that CS. Going to call that procurement as a department in your own right, or call it fin, admin. I'm getting a bit silly here with the number of departments, but you get the general gist. Make this relevant for yourselves. And I'm going to color code it for myself because that'll help later when I go to my dashboards. And lastly, what category of request is this sitting within, right? Now, I've realized, however, that right now my camera's probably gone a little bit blurry, so my apologies there. I'll have that taken care of in just a second. But another request here is how do we categorize what type of procurement request might this be? It could be software. Ooh, I'm putting that in the wrong field there. Type of request. And single select where we say software. Now this might go through your IT team, so it might not be something that you have to put in your procurement request. Again, each company is a little bit different in this instance. Your hardware, we'll go office admin, we'll go this obviously shows my knowledge of procurement categories. So like I said, I'm not a professional in procurement per se. We're going to add here another level, which is equipment, and leave it at that for now. And then for there, I think that should just about cover us, right? We've got a bit of complexity around this sort of stuff now. We could have a snack vendor where our expected amount might be, say, 5,000. We've got an importance where this is high. We've got a department where this particular request, sorry, this is a normal request, I should say. And then we've got coming from dev, and we've got snack requests. So we'll say office. Just going to change that from office admin to just office. Now, that's on an existing set of projects that I've got in here. I'm going to leave these alone for the moment and go back to my space. Back to my space, back to custom item types. And like I said, I've got my procurement. I've got my custom fields now that I've got laid in here as well, which is important for me. I'm going to have a request form, which I'll come back to in just a moment. But the last thing that I'm going to need is a blueprint. Now, within my space settings, there is a template folder. This template folder for now contains a project that is used for this space for this particular template. I'm going to convert this to a blueprint, okay? Specifically, however, I'm going to change this from not just being a blueprint, but I'm going to change the item type as procurement. So now I've got all these other projects here that I can convert to being also procurement type projects. It's a type of project, so I want to be able to easily surface that later. It's a type of work, right? So I want to be able to easily determine where are these requests effectively coming from. So I'm going to save all of these or convert them all to being now procurement requests. I'm also going to add this as a blueprint. Save this in my procurement blueprint space, save as procurement template, hit save. And today, how are we going there? Are there any questions for us at this point?
Yeah, I would like to encourage, if there are any questions, please make sure to use the Q&A section at this time, and we'll make sure to ask those questions live and answer them live for you, if that's okay.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Andre. All right. This is a pretty heavy jam-packed session, I've realized as well. So my apologies there. I probably should have highlighted that from the beginning. But we've created a space so far. We've created a custom item type project. We've added a few custom fields. We've even converted one of our projects to being a blueprint. And now we're going to tailor our request form so that it combines some of those blueprints, combines some of those questions with custom fields, puts it into the blueprint as well, and kicks off our workflow.
Alex, before we move forward, just a quick question here. I've seen that you've structured your like procurement like as a project. Had a couple of tasks inside of it, and then you also created a workflow for that. So do you want to explain a little bit as to like how would you suggest to structure those things? Like, is there a benefit of using workflows over like a work breakdown structure within the actual project, or have workflows more condensed to simple, to do in progress done, and then have everything laid out within the tasks? So what's your approach there?
Yeah, really good question. Really good question. So I said at the very beginning, there's an option where you could either have this as one task, and you might have the sequence of steps, or you might have a project and you might have a sequence of steps. It depends on the company or the organization's procurement process itself. If there are steps, and this is, if it's one task, right? Because there's typically one person that handles from the beginning to the end. Or it might be that types of requests, if it's a very small type of request where it's under a certain value, you might only need to kick off a task, right? And therefore just have the workflow of new, in review, approved, purchased, vendor selected, whatever that might look like. Okay. Now, if it's a much larger piece of work and it requires other parties to get involved, if it's a larger procurement where in fact actually you know what, this is now going to take us several months. It might take us a year or so to actually go through the sequence of steps because we've got to figure out who the vendor is. There's going to be a back and forth. There's going to be a bunch of reviews that come with it. There's going to be a build. There's going to be the words are escaping me now, but like a test build or something for the first 6 months or whatever it might be. That might be a project, and there's going to be several people that might be part of that. And so there's not, and so like I said, there's the option of one or the, like you can do both, right? Smaller procurements, if you're just getting snacks for the office, might be one task, one person can handle that. Yes, approved. Thank you very much. Unless it becomes a $2 million snack purchase or something like that, and we've got to go through a massive review process as part of it. In this example, this desk chairs, right? This project itself is just going through a default workflow, but you might want to go through, is it in progress? Is it in review, researching, and so on? In this instance, each task might be in progress, review, vendor selected, and so on and so forth. So create and submit. So these are the sequence of steps that come with a larger project, say, and then you might just have the workflow underneath of, for the tasks of new in progress and so on. I hope that answers the question, Jay.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I would probably also point out that if tracking some of the key dates within your project is really of importance for you, and seeing the dependencies, right, how everything is connected together. For example, you absolutely want to make sure that you procure a certain item by a given date, and it's really important not to miss that date. I would probably suggest focusing on doing most of those things as tasks and having a more simplistic workflow behind it. But again, it really depends on what exactly you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, because it might be a larger sequence of steps, like if it's a large procurement piece and there's more people involved, there's going to be more tasks that have to be assigned to various people that get involved as part of that. So again, I think we're hit the nail here. Small piece, snacks, easy one task. So you might have, if I go to my space settings, you might have two custom item types. One is large procurement, and another one as being a task of small procurement. In fact, let's just do that. Let's use that example. Why not? Small procurement by, add that bag in there.
Right on. We have a question that came in from our attendee, Bernard. So the question goes like this: is there a way to be able to auto-populate the subtask description with the same description from the main task, which is populated through the request form? It's a really popular ask, Alex.
It's a really popular ask, and unfortunately, there is no simple way to be able to do that at the moment. It's a really popular ask. It's a great ask. I like it a lot, to be honest. I wish I could do that for you. Our product team has got it on the horizon for them. I say on the horizon, it's on their radar, that's for sure. There are things you can do at the moment. If this is a major piece that you need to have in your instance right now, it's possible with Wrike Integrate, and I'd suggest having a conversation with your account manager to be able to do that. If you're happy doing custom work yourself potentially, and you're familiar with coding or you've got a development team, you can do it through the API, but it's not an out-of-the-box solution at the moment, unfortunately. Now, where was I? I hope that answers the question, Bernard, by the way, and I'm sorry that wasn't the answer you might be wanting to hear there. So I've got custom item types, I've got custom fields, I've got workflows. automations I'll come back to. I've got a blueprint kind of ready to go. Request form. I've got one here already. And I'm going to do some additions to that. I'm going to do some changes here as part of this request form because I've got a question here on department. And right now that just finishes and it lands in my description field. I actually want that kind of going to one of my custom fields, to be completely honest. Now, more importantly, I want this item landing in my new requests, right? And once I do that, I'm going to come back here. I want to make sure that in fact this works. This has had me up before. Space custom fields, no custom fields found. Have I not done this correctly? Procurement. Procurement. That's probably why. Form belongs to procurement. Yeah, I'm not going crazy here. It's always fun with doing a demo live. We come here and go add a question. Discard my changes there for a moment, folks. Bear with me while I add a question here and create a project from a blueprint. That is my procurement. My large procurement, where I have a single select. Ah, you know what I think it is, Andre? We always get messed up like this where we don't actually ever populate those fields for our first time. Bear with me, folks. I'm going to add that to my space. Create a project from a large project. Unless I've done something funny here where, no, I applied it to the project itself. Type of request. Oh, Andre, it's in my eyes. It's right in front of me the entire time. Nice
You're
work,
good. You're good.
Alex. Right in front of my eyes the entire time. It's in the open your eyes section. If everybody's watching this and going, Alex, it's right there. It's right there. Well done. Okay. Department, change that to a, rather than being a text field, I want to make that a, that's why. Okay. All right. I'm going to use my single select and I'm going to make this a custom field that is department. Brilliant. Well done, Alex. Answer is required. I'm going to move this up my page. Okay. Today's date requested by, who's the person's name? It's probably pretty important. We'll want to capture that. But rather than having it as a simple requested by as a text field, I actually want to report on those users. So I want to do a little bit of smarts bit about this and say, actually, I want to use an assignee field potentially here, right? Or have just a set on, in this instance, I want to leave it as a text option. And the last thing I want to also say, there was a text, there was importance that we had as well. So we got single select, that was importance. So I'm going to actually remove that from here. We have got an existing one there. Perfect. So I'm going to remove that. That's great. And if it's high, then I'm going to redirect it. So I'm going to add, so if it is a high, if it is going to be a highly important request, then I'm going to add it to a parent folder, which is high importance. There it is. If it's a medium, we're going to put it in normal importance. And if it's low, I'm going to add it to parent folder, low importance. Okay, very good. I'm going to also add a last question here of single select, where custom field is type of request. Right, because I want to actually, I'm going to remove product or service requested. I'm going to remove that question from up there. And suggested vendors we'll keep for a moment. And then we're going to also add, I said the value or expected cost or something to that effect, right? So I'm going to add a number field here. And is it a number fields? Should be a number field. I'm not going nuts here, right? Add it to expected amount. Perfect. Expected cost, something to that effect. I'm going to add some instructions here for folks to know how much should we expect this to cost. All right. Make it a required field. For any of these requests, change them to required where they need to be populated. When do we want this requested by? So at this point, I'm having this date field landing in my description. Maybe I want to actually have that as the due date in this instance, right? Appreciate that this is a little bit dangerous, however. If you're doing it on a project and there's a sequence of steps that comes with it, you might not ever be possible to finish all those steps. So you might not want to have this populated here. Maybe you want to have that in a kind of custom field of expected delivery date or something to that effect. Suggested vendors, again, at this point, all landing in the description field. Consider existing services, request for reason, requested by, today's date. Great. For me at this point, I'm happy with this particular request form. Andre, are there any questions?
Alex. Yeah, quick question. Yeah. So I've seen that you've mapped basically most of those questions to a certain custom field that you created earlier. What is the benefit of doing that versus creating all of the questions from scratch in a request form?
Yeah, good question. It becomes much easier to manage. Okay, so when it comes to, I say this to everybody, right? Wrike is a work management solution. There's report that comes in, there's the management, and there's report that goes out. You'll hear me talk about that all the time. If you want to see the report on the other end of what's gone out, what it is that you needed to do, you'll want to have those values you want to see what's come out in custom fields. You can only report on values that sit in a custom field. By having the question mapped to a custom field, it means that now when the question comes through on a request form, it automatically populates that field from the very get-go, right? If you want to be able to report on the other end, it's the garbage in, garbage out. So that if you're doing a better job of collecting it up front, it's a cleaner way of having those fields populated up front. And add to that, if you need to add more fields to that into the future, if you need to add or manage those fields in the future, you can manage that just through the custom field section. head back to the request form, hit refresh if you needed to, but it's all your responses there are immediately taken care of as well, as opposed to populating it in the custom field, populating it in the request form and adding it to the description, taking it out of the description, putting it in the custom field later or something like that. It opens you up to a lot more human error.
Totally. Right on, Alex. And I guess the main takeaway here, the description of your taskware project is not a reportable field, and we don't have filters for you to elicit some of the values from the description as well. So your best chance at building a really nice and meaningful report is to make sure that all of the data is being put into the custom fields and not into the description.
And by the way, Bernard, if your question now is going to be, well, can I have my subtasks populated with those custom fields? Not yet. I'm going to answer that question before it comes along.
Good one.
Okay, now at this point, I've got my folder structure, I've got a workflow, I've got custom fields that I'm populating, I've got a custom item type for a large and small procurement request, I've got a request form that I haven't actually quite finished, right? And that's because that request form isn't kicking off my project yet. It's saving it to new requests, and that's fine and good and well. It's setting it to new, but I actually want it setting to, yeah, actually new, that's correct. But I don't want to just create a random project. I want to create a random project from, which is my large procurement. So it's using my blueprint, it's using my custom item type of a blueprint, setting it to new. I'm not going to add an approval at this point. I'm going to use Automation Engine to kind of add an approvals piece that comes with it. Do I want to add a prefix next to this? We can add a few of them if we wanted to. We might want to add importance as a prefix next to it. I'm not going to use that instance. And then who's this form at least visible to at the moment? At this point, it's going to be made only to Thomas, but I'm going to allow it for everybody in the account. And do we want to make this a public field? Maybe, yeah. And I'll hit save. And I'm going to copy that link. And I want to add for people in this room to help me out here and add their requests in. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Be a little bit smarter about this. And I am going to add person's name and email address just so that I can at least respond to your request through Wrike as well, because I want to show a little bit of that as well here. So that's there, that's request, that's sitting in the chat. If you want to put your submissions through for what you'd like to grab, what is it that you need from procurement, please do. Otherwise, for myself, I'm going to run through this, do a bit of a test. There's a procurement. I think there's a general HR request. What was my request forms labeled again? Well done, Alex. Purchase order request form. Here we go. There it is. What department am I in? We'll say I'm in IT. We're going to add today's date here. Who is this being requested by? Alex H. Reason for request, because I need it. No good reason. Is this an existing products or service? No, we haven't. Suggested vendors, a good one. It's a bit brutal, actually. When do I need it by? Yesterday, of course, as always. Low importance, high importance, always high. People always come jumping at you saying, I need this immediately. It's a hardware request. And how much we expect it to cost? We're going to say $50,000 at this point, and hit submit. That submission has now landed in my low import. Oh, in my, I've actually got that settings incorrect there, but yeah, I've made an error here with my request because I've had it land in my highest parent folder when I've already redirected it to the lower one. So I can technically remove it from here and leave it in high importance. I'll correct that in my request form in case people are wondering what the hell just happened there, Alex. So if I go back to my procurement request form space, head to request forms, and the reason why that's happening, everybody, is you'll notice I've got it saving to new requests as well. as the folders of low, medium, and high here. Okay. So I'm going to remove that from there and hit save. It's always good to do a test of your requests when they come through. And there it is. At this point, I haven't got any particular number sequence around it or anything like that. I've got Department IT, Alex H, and landing there because I need it. I thought I had that mapped to a custom field, but let's have a look here. Did I do this incorrectly, Andre? What have I done to myself here? It seems like I've just created a particular project, or did I not actually save this correctly? So blueprints, procurement template. Yeah, I've got those sequence of pieces there. That seems to be okay. Head
I
to
think this is
settings.
the most interesting part. Show us how you would troubleshoot something like this.
Oh, great question. Yeah, great. Love being put on the spotlight like this. Um, oh, I know exactly why. So I have indeed created a custom item type that is large procurement and small procurement. But what I really wanted to see happen was this blueprint being used. And so I'm going to rename this as large procurement template, because what I've actually done here is create a project from large procurement. That's just using the custom item type. That's not actually using the project from a blueprint that I created earlier, which was large procurement template. So I've used the wrong project here, unfortunately for myself. Yeah, I'm going to safely assume that's the only error that I've got here. This here does populate my custom field there, so I'm not going bonkers. I'm going to hit save and then try that again. Go back to my first tab and try this one more time. In fact, by the way, folks, I don't see any submissions coming through yet. So if you want to use that link, absolutely test me here. Please do. And is this because Alex? Is this existing? Yes. Suggested vendors, this one. When do we need it by? I'm going to try this again and say by then. We're going to say medium. We're going to say hardware, and we're going to say $25,000. Flippantly throwing it around. Oh, we don't see the link in the chat. Okay, that's because I shared it with the
I'm on
hosting
it. I'm on
panelists.
it. Yeah, it's the
Sure.
default one. Oh,
Yeah.
you got that already. Thanks.
All right. Normal importance. There it is. Landed in my normal importance piece. Landed in there. Very good. And at this particular point, if I go to new requests, I've got normal request. That's landed in importance, sales, hardware, all my custom fields being populated as well. Fantastic. I can breathe a sigh of relief here. And if you are now getting the chance to populate or add your submissions through the request form, this is perfect timing because now I get to have a look at our dashboard where we ultimately get to then manage all the various pieces that come through as part of procurement. At this level, this particular dashboard is looking at all the tasks that come with it, all the various steps that come with a submission. It might be that, you know what, this isn't a very useful piece to me, however. So actually, you can edit this and set yourself or add an extra field here, which is the location. You know, which particular request is this in regards to? So in this instance, I've got all of those being as part of that particular request. So I'm going to create a new one, a really quick new dashboard, and I'm going to create it as a custom widget where I'm pulling out data from this entire space, but I'm looking at large procurements only. And I want to see these, or essentially add a status next to it. Great. I want to see the location that it sits within. I also want to see these other various fields that might be coming with it. You know, expected amount, importance, type of request. Maybe the location doesn't really matter to me so much at this point. And then of course, I want to also lastly see or group by, say, metrics. That's okay. That's absolutely okay. Hardware requests, yeah, type at the very beginning, perfect. We'll hit create widget. I'm going to create another quick widget to be like, okay, that's all good and well, but I want to see actually a metric. So I want to see large procurements where the metric is expected. My apologies. I want to see it by all, but I want to see a custom field. Oh, apologies, no, it is on all, and I want to see it all based on potentially, say, all projects by type of request, right? And oh, I keep doing that. I keep clicking in the wrong place. So my apologies there. So I've got by request, and then I want to see it by, say, department. So where are my requests coming from? By which department potentially as well? Obviously, these projects do not have any values next to it. So I'm going to quickly populate this so it makes it look a little bit juicier. And then where are they all coming from? I'm going to hit refresh on this screen in a moment so that at least now this dashboard becomes a little bit more meaningful. We start to get a bit more value that comes with it. Now, we've crammed in a lot here, by the way, and today I've realized that I've bitten off a lot here getting into this session. And for folks in the room, I hope that you were able to keep up. I appreciate that I've gone back and forth between a lot of tabs a lot here. So note that this session is recorded and it will be shared with folks afterwards as well, and it's available in our Discover courses. My apologies for jumping in and out in between spaces here. I've bitten off a lot more here than I think most folks can chew in the short time that we have. There's one more thing that I'd like us to get through though, and that is an automation. I want us to be able to create a bit of an approvals piece that comes with it. And so I'm going to head back to space settings. I'm going to go to automations. I want to create a new rule where effectively I want to say a custom rule that applies to my large procurement projects that sits within the entire space. And I want to say whenever the status changes to, right? And I want to add or use my piece here where we say in review. Whenever the project sets to in review, and if, right, we've got expected amount to be greater than or equal to, set yourself about a limit or a boundary, whatever that might be. If it's greater than $20,000, then have it set so that it's assigned to somebody else potentially, right? Or at mention or notify somebody.
It's under fields, Alex, change assignee. It's been changed recently a little bit. So yeah, I was banging my head against the wall trying to find this one day.
Very good. So we're going to change the assignee and we're going to change it to, and then who's it going to be actually assigned to, right? Because it's over a certain amount, maybe we need to have, IT executive, or maybe there's going to be a series of and ifs here, right? We're going to say if it's over $20,000 and another custom fields where the type of request is, hardware or software, then change assignee where it has to be changed, select manually. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Change to IT Kimberly executive. Okay. There might be another piece that comes with it. You might want to then say, actually, you know what? Add comment or mention at the actual follower or whoever the author was, or potentially just leave it as, at followers, because that's going to be now be the assignee, and say, hi team, we've got a renew request over X amount. The automations, I absolutely recommend folks have a bit of a think and play around these. People are always asking me like, hey, what's the best practice? How should I set up? I think when it comes to automations, think about what it is you would like to do, right? And then just go in and have a go. There's never a set specific structure of this happens, then you should do this, and you should have to do this, and then do this. In the same sense that I'm never going to be an expert in the procurement process, not never say never, but I'm not an expert in the procurement process, and therefore I don't know exactly what your workflow looks like. So for yourselves, it's like, okay, knowing that if this happens and that happens and so on, what should then happen after this, and can I automate it with Wrike in some way, shape, right? Or how do I go about notifying, or do I need to then change, right? Um, so I'm going to create that as a flow. I'm going to create another rule here just because I like being a little bit fun with this. I'm going to have this so this is a small procurement. I had my little request earlier, and I want to say it's a small procurement, but whenever it goes into status changes and it goes from not default, and it goes to in review, and right, and if actually, you know what? I want to be a little bit smarter about this still. Today, I'm going to be a little bit more clever again. I'm going to add a trigger, and I'm going to say when approves gives a decision. So let's assume that we've gone through our approvals process, and it's been approved. However, we've got a custom field here where the expected amount is greater than, say, $15,000. That's no longer a small procurement. So maybe for whatever reason, you've got your request form created and folks have input a value of 15 grand, and you know what, we've given it the A-OK, but now I actually want to create from a blueprint because now there's a much larger sequence of steps from it. So I'm going to select the blueprint. It's going to become a large procurement process now. We're going to enter the name of this being large procurement project, and then have it land in essentially high importance, right? Or better still, I can make this a little bit clever and say if you've already selected high importance, then also do this. We can get pretty clever with that sort of stuff. I'm going to hit create, however, just as an example of a little bit more of a complicated kind of automation piece that you could do here. So,
Quick question, Alex.
yes.
Yeah, question from Florian here. Will the approval show up in the to-dos of the individuals who are assigned as approvers?
Yeah, not in your to-do. It will show up as a notification in your inbox. It'll show up in your dashboard if you've got potentially an approvals board set up potentially, but it won't necessarily show up as a to-do if I'm not wrong. To-do lists, if I remember correctly, are all the tasks that are assigned to you, things that are for you to do, but not specifically an approval to do, so to speak. So you might not be assigned to a piece of work in order to be the approver of that piece of work.
Yep, absolutely. And I would say one of the things that we recommend for any kind of approval process to increase visibility for individuals that need to be approving certain tasks and projects or assets. Be sure to set up a dashboard for them, and there are filters there for you to capture approvals specifically, either for certain individuals or just globally across everyone on the team. And that way you'll be able to capture them. And to be completely honest, dashboard is such a better tool, at creating visibility and transparency into everyday work for everyone than my to-do is. So we would absolutely advise you to create a dashboard for the team that has widgets that capture the standard work, but also widgets that capture approvals.
Yeah, absolutely. Can recommend. And just to kind of highlight what that might look like, I've got my earlier custom item type of purchase order request form. That particular request is landing in my dashboard now, and you can see as CEO Thomas that project, whilst it might not be assigned to me, is certainly one that I have to at least approve and get onto anyway. So that's a better way to manage approvals there. And in case you missed that, I was in my dashboard view, clicked on the widget button, created a custom widget. There's an option here on the right-hand side to filter out um, approvers, specifically who you're looking for, or status. So is it pending? Has it been approved? Is it being drafted at the moment in the sense that we haven't sent it out? Yeah, that's a much simpler, cleaner way of first surfacing approvals. Um, okay, Andrea, I think I've covered just about everything here. I've also realized what time it is as well. So I'm going to hit stop sharing and I want to hand it back to you. And I wanted to say a big thanks to everybody because apologies, I guess, for cramming so much in this short time.
You've been amazing, Alex. Oh, this has been jam-packed with really great content. So thank you so much, Alex, for showing this to us. And each time we're doing these sessions, it just proves to me that within, like, if you have the right kind of knowledge and mindset, there is so much you can achieve even within 1 hour. You can build the entire process almost end to end, and then yeah, it will hopefully improve your processes in Wrike. So yeah, with that said, if there are any, so we addressed a lot of questions already, but if there are any last minute questions, we will be taking them for the next minute because we're really out of time right now, and there are a
I was gonna,
few, yeah.
I was gonna add one more thing there, Andrea, because whilst we have built out almost an end-to-end flow, right, of procurement in the hour, I want to highlight as quickly and easily as that was to do. There's a massive change management piece that comes with that, right? I want
Oh,
people
yeah.
to make, I want people to not be, I want to say, don't usually use word fooled, but you can build it out in Wrike pretty quickly, but you've got to get a lot of people that come along with you on the journey as well now to utilize the functionality properly. And so, um, we've got folks on our end that can also help you with that sort of stuff as well, which they will help, will guide us to as well in a moment.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, no questions have come in just yet. So, I guess let's move forward with this, right? Speaking of resources that are available to you, again, you're not alone in this journey, right? We have a lot of different resources that you could take advantage of, and really improve your understanding of Wrike and how your Wrike instance is set up. So first and foremost, of course, you have your account managers. Those are your points of contact with Wrike for anything commercial. But additionally, like if they'll offer valuable insight, support, and guidance with not only add-ons and licenses and expanding into teams and telling you about upcoming events, but it's just in general, like if you're looking to do something, like where would you start, right? So just don't hesitate to have that kind of conversation with them. If you have a customer success manager assigned, they're your strategic advisor. They will help you focus on maximizing the business value of your Wrike implementation and offer some of the best practice on how to use the system to your advantage. If something doesn't really work as expected, you can always rely on a tech support team. Feel free to reach out to them with any technical difficulties. There is a help center, which is a great resource if you want to learn more about specific functionalities. And if you want to learn what's new with the product, exchange best practices with fellow Wrike users, and give us feedback. Be sure to use community. This is a fantastic resource for your learning about, like, if you're yeah, if you want to learn more by doing, or just want to watch some of the educational videos or subscribe for training sessions like this one in particular, be sure to check out Wrike Discover. It's hands down the best place to learn how to do things in Wrike. There's a wealth of resources and videos there for you to check out. And last but not the least, if you felt like you've learned a lot today from Alex, consider partnering up with a dedicated professional services consultant for a number of sessions. And this is, to your point, Alex, on the change management aspect specifically, right? Change management is something that this team can really help you with, right? So they have tons of experience with a wide range of customers, from small businesses to something on a mid-market to huge enterprise teams. They will learn about your process, your needs and KPIs, and will lead you to your ideal future state of Wrike. So be sure to reach out to your account manager to learn more about this. And this is it. Thank you for sticking with us for this session. This has been recorded, so it will be published in the next couple of days. So thank you for your questions and your participation. And that's it for now. You'll see a quick survey after the end of the session. Let us know how we did. But bye for now. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.